We're gonna start this story with how you start every good story: context. Despite having played VGC since 2019, I've only been to 4 live events. If we don't include New Orleans, I've been to 2 nationals and 1 regional, and I bombed all of them. Not like that. Everyone is safe. I really didn't do very well. Somehow, despite all this not success, I have managed to get a social media following. Even though 1,000-ish isn't a crazy number, it's really weird to me having that following and not really having done anything. This has led to me having a little bit of VGC imposter syndrome. So leading up to New Orleans, I really wanted to, at the very least, make day 2. For anybody that's a little bit out of the loop, the rule set going into NEIC 2025 is Regulation I. Regulation I allows for the use of 2 restricted legendaries as opposed to Regulation G, which only allowed 1. Restricted legendaries are the ones that go on the box arts. There's a few others that are not on the box art, but you can just call them box art legendaries and you're almost correct. Basically, there's such a peg up above the rest of the Pokemon that are legal that you're only allowed to have 1 or 2 of them. In Regulation G, I use Terapagos quite a bit with Calm Mind and a team that is fully built around enabling, supporting, and knocking out the threats to Terapagos. So naturally, for this regulation, I started with Terapagos, seeing, hey, I have a second restricted now, let's see what I can do with it. This started with Terapagos and Calyrex Shadow Rider, which I did like, but it wasn't really my favorite. I tried Terapagos Zacian as well, trying to use the Choice Specs variant, but again, not really impressed. Then we get to Terapagos Koraidon, which was recommended to me by some VGC Corner people. It was interesting. I noticed that when I was winning and when I was enjoying it, it wasn't because of the Terapagos, it was because of Koraidon. Koraidon has the ability Orichalcum Pulse, which allows it to set up the sun, which not only boosts the other Paradox Pokemon with their photosynthesis ability, but also gives Koraidon itself a 30% boost to its attack and powers up its powerful fire-type attacks. This meant that Koraidon hits stupidly hard and also enables things that can redirect, reduce speed, or get the jump on the opponent before they can attack. So yeah, I decided we're gonna ditch Terapagos and I'm just gonna try stuff with Koraidon. After a conversation with C Buddy, thank you for helping get this started, I went with Koraidon and Lunala for a little bit. I've used Ursaluna teams in the past, and this was very similar to it, having a redirector, damage reducer, something fast, and Lunala and Koraidon actually complement each other very, very well. Koraidon being a fighting type and Lunala being a ghost type means that they can cover each other both offensively and defensively, which is really nice. I was getting really comfortable with this team, and then something disastrous happened. The first regional of Regulation I happens, and it looks like this. I hate Miraidon. This isn't a bit. I hate Miraidon. I will never bring that thing to a major because you know what's gonna happen? I'm gonna lead Miraidon versus Miraidon, and then I'm gonna lose because I didn't click Terra Fairy, or I Electro Drifted when I should have Draco Meteored, or I Volt Switched when I should have Dazzling Gleamed, and it's not fun, and it's all speed tie, and it's too bulky, and it does too much damage, and I hate Miraidon. And I'm not going to join them, so I'm going to try to beat them. I didn't feel comfortable trying to beat Miraidon with this team because maybe it's just a skill issue, maybe I just suck, but I couldn't do it. I was looking through some of the other teams that used Koraidon that placed well, and I noticed this. James Evans placed 16th with Galarian Weezing. I stopped to think about it. Weezing has an exclusive ability called Neutralizing Gas, which as long as Weezing is on the field, every ability is disabled except for this small list of exceptions for some reason. The important part is, Weezing disables every single ability that makes this team so annoying. And on this composition, with Koraidon having the ability shield and Shadow Rider being immune to the effects of Neutralizing Gas, I still get to reap the benefits of my abilities while disabling my opponents, creating an uphill battle for them. I fell in love. I played like 100 games with this team and then hit up James Evans for a one-on-one session where he told me how to use the team in certain matchups, and we also got to talk kind of collaboratively on switching around items and terras and stuff like that. Besides the core 3 of Shadow Rider, Koraidon, and Weezing, which all complement each other very nicely offensively and defensively, let's talk about the other ones. The original composition was Koraidon, Shadow Rider, Weezing, Brute Bonnet, Raging Bolt, and Chi-Yu. Raging Bolt is just extremely powerful, has really good defensive typing, and it can get the jump on your opponents with Electro Web to lower their speeds and Thunderclap to move first and knock things out. Brute Bonnet is an Amoonguss that beats Shadow Rider. That's it. Chi-Yu fits in that perfect center of the Venn diagram for both benefiting from Koraidon and Shadow Rider because it lowers things special defense and benefits from having the sunset. During testing, I did try out Walking Wake over Raging Bolt, and while Walking Wake is very fast and it's pretty bulky with the Assault Vest, felt like it was never bulky enough, never fast enough, and it honestly did no damage. I did also try the Dondozo version, which 3 people came up to me at the event and said they played against me while laddering and they did not like the team, so they're glad I didn't bring it. But yeah, you set up Toxic Spikes with Weezing and you try to win with Dondozo. The thing about Dondozo is that it either really beats something or really doesn't. I really didn't want to be flipping that coin all day. I ultimately settled on the original 6 that James had. Koraidon is Terra Fire with a ton of bulk, which means that it can live a Draco Meteor from non-Hadron Engine Choice Specs Miraidon if you go into Terra Fire. It also notably gets 3-shot by Calyrex Astral Barrage and 2-shot by Psychic, even if you don't Terrastalize. I've also got your standard moveset of Flame Charge, Flare Blitz, and Collision Course, and Protect with the ability shield to make sure that I still get my Sun up, and my opponent doesn't have their abilities when I put it next to Weezing. Calyrex Shadow is just your Focus Sash build with Encore, because my team does kind of incentivize my opponent to go for some sort of defensive plays while I'm spamming Astral Barrages. If I catch them doing a Protect, I can try to Encore them, or at the very least, after they Protect, they feel like they need to switch out because they don't want to get Encored. Weezing is extremely fat with Poison Gas, which can chip Focus Sashes and bring things into range of Astral Barrage, but also Taunt. When paired with the Safety Goggles, makes it so that way next to an Amoonguss, I can still taunt a Calyrex Ice Rider, and also it's just a great check to Amoonguss overall. I did consider the Covert Cloak to be able to deal with Ice Rider and Incineroar lead, but I felt a little bit better into that because I stopped my opponent from intimidating, and then Koraidon can just knock out Incineroar. Raging Bolt could live a Glacial Lance without Terrastalizing. That's crazy. Speaking of Terrastalizing, I went with the Electric Terror type to boost the power of Thunderbolt, Thunderclap, and even in some cases Electro Web. Under the sun, this thing is an absolute monster, and having Electro Webs to lower my opponent's speed is a really big deal, especially in the Calyrex Shadow Mirror and against the other bikes like Miraidon and my opponent's Koraidons. Brute Bonnet was Terra Water, honestly. If I had to run this team again, I would go Terra Fire because Raging Bolt was so popular. This thing could survive basically any physical hit with the Proto defense boost. Having Sucker Punch to try to get ahead of my opponent's Calyrex Shadow was also fantastic, and Seed Bomb does decent damage to Kyogre while just being a good stab move to use on other things that don't resist it. The redirection is fantastic for both Calyrex and Koraidon, which want to get their speed boosts and their special attack boosts while not being hindered by the opponent. Lastly, Chi-Yu was probably the thing that I brought the least, but I couldn't see the team without it. I ran a moveset of Heat Wave, Snarl, Ruination, and Flamethrower. Ruination is also really interesting because it allows me to use Ruination on something like Lunala or Terrapagos, bring it down to half, and finish it off with something like my Shadow Rider or my Koraidon. Same thing goes for like an Ice Rider that wants a set of Trick Room. Even if you Terrastalize, chances are I will be able to knock you out. Yeah, that's basically it, I think. Really excited to play in this event. Let's go to the travel montage. I think that's what's going after this. I haven't finished that part of the video yet.
Hey. Hey.
Ready to go?
Yeah. I hope I don't have to face any Kyogres.
Dude, look around. We gotta face Kyogre on the way there.
Dang it!
Alright, it's drive time. We're just leaving my house. This is Andrew Zoich, and we are going to Louisiana. I just showered and it's also raining, so I'm all wet. I stepped in the wet.
That's my one rule, dude.
The one rule is don't step in the wet, especially if we're getting in the car. Hopefully nothing crazy happens. We have safe travels and we get there all right, so yeah. So at this point, I've probably already talked about what I'm bringing. Zoich, you want to talk for a second about what you're planning on bringing?
Good attitude.
All right. Don't tell you right.
This isn't New Orleans. Oh no!
This is McDonald's.
Good thing I brought my deck. Good news, we made it. We are all checked in, and now it's time to go over to the venue. Do you recall which way it is? Okay, we're going over to the venue right now. We're gonna pick up our stuff. All of the stuff this time is Ogerpon Cornerstone themed, which is cool because that is my favorite one. So shout out North America for having my favorite Ogerpon, and also for America. Alright, so we did make it to the venue. I'm over here with, funny, I wonder if that means anything. This is probably the most excited I've been about a team and about playing in an event. Ran into James Evans. He is equally, if not more, very much more. What do you think? You think he's more or equally excited?
I think y'all are pretty equally very, very, very excited.
We are very excited, that's the point. We're gonna go check out the vendors here in a second. If I get something good, I'll show you guys. But yeah, the vibes are good, the energy is high. We're all very excited to be here. And check out the competitor swag. It's upside down, but we got Buddy Poffin, super playable. And everything here is themed off after my favorite Ogrepon form. So it's very, very exciting.
Oh, there's something on your head there.
Oh, what do I have on my head? I get it. It's Ninkata, the evolution, pre-evolution to Shiden. That's going in. All right, here we are. We are at the point where it is time to enter all of the stuff into the computer. We've got some test games going on. We've got a blue TV. This is the exact same room that we had last year, by the way. It's night time. I'll see everyone at 7 a.m. Yay, it can't come soon enough. It came too soon. Oh, I have to play in an NAIC today. Oh. There we go. Video evidence of getting unstinky. I'm gonna need to see that from some of y'all, I'm gonna be honest. So let's just point something out really funny. That it puts our in-game names on here as well. So his says Andrew Zoich, which is almost his name. And mine says Andrew Krebs, which is just my name actually. So I'm walking around with my full name out here. Any other full namers in chat? I was also just told that I look like if I beat up Wolfie and stole his clothes. So that was my goal. So I'm looking good, I'm feeling good, I have evidence of me being unstinky. The hair just needs to dry and then we're VGC Corner 100 Years Pirate Rock. Alright, we made it here. We are inside of the venue. We went through security. So it was at this point that, unbeknownst to me, my microphone made this sound. I don't know what happened. I think this thing was either in too far or came loose, because for the rest of the day, my recordings either sounded like this, or like this.
But so far the team's felt really great.
I interviewed Andy Levine, Electric Wind Girlfriend, Riley Factura, Marcos Perez, Sierra Dawn, Joe Brown, and a few others I'm probably forgetting right now, but the footage is all here. And because I only want to give you guys the highest quality content, I will not be including these interviews, unfortunately. So I hope you've been enjoying the voiceover, because the voiceover is what we're getting. Let's go. Now, in my opinion, round one is one of the most important rounds of the day because it sets the pace for how the rest of your day will go and also determines what kind of players you'll be playing for the next couple of rounds. Fortunately, my round one was a pretty straightforward matchup and I played into this kind of thing a lot. My opponent's team's defensive options relied a lot on abilities like Intimidate, Photosynthesis boosted Icy Winds, and Lunala's Shadow Shield. Thanks to my Weezing, I was able to basically steamroll through the game with my Koridon, and then when Weezing finally went down, it was time to bring in Calyrex Shadow Rider. The fact that this Lunala was also the Calm Mind variant meant that it didn't do very much damage before it set up, and I was able to smash through it without it having its Shadow Shield. After round one, I talked to Andy Levine, who described his experience using some off-meta teams and also talked about his Poliwhirl strategy. Unfortunately, his Poliwhirl was taken away from him due to team sheet errors, so don't have fun. By the way, I want to mention this right now, all of my opponents were super nice, super sweet, nothing but good things to say. I was very fortunate to have a good round one, but there's still plenty of day left, so let's check out round two. Round 2 marks the first of many Miraidon Ice Rider teams I will be playing throughout the day. This particular combination of 6 is one that I saw pick up in usage right before the event, and I did have my lines to it, but it was still not really something I like playing against. Fortunately, I can shut down a lot of my opponent's offensive options with Weezing. However, it's not very nice when my Weezing misses things like Play Rough and Poison Gas, which allows that Whimsicott to live for just one turn too long. I lose round 1 because of this and a positioning error, but then game 2 I'm able to bring back by basically fixing what I did wrong in game 1. In game 3, my opponent caught me off guard with a really good mix-up going for the slow mode instead of the fast mode. The Incineroar was even faster than my Brute Bonnet, which allowed it to pivot into Miraidon, blocking my Spore from the Hadron engine, and I just wasn't able to recuperate, so really well played by my opponent. Can't be mad about that loss. After round 2, I talked to Lorelei, or Electric Wind Girlfriend, about her really interesting strategy with Eternatus and I believe Sandy Shocks. If I remember correctly, the Eternatus was the Cosmic Power variant, which I know I don't have my calcs into, and if I paired into it, I would certainly be caught a little bit off guard. Hopefully Lorelei's off the wall team building got her some wins. I'm 1-1 now, but there's still plenty of day left, 6 rounds to go. All I need to do is not lose more than 2 more rounds, but that's easier said than done. So let's go to round 3. Round 3 showed us our first restricted Pokemon mirror of the day with Koraidon and Shadow Rider. Blocking abilities wasn't as important in this game, so I didn't bring Weezing, but my Brute Bonnet and my Assault Vest Raging Bolt gave me a huge advantage in redirecting attacks and lowering the speed stats of my opponent. One thing I also tried to do before this event was make myself more comfortable playing the speed tie game. Calyrex Shadow is going to speed tie Calyrex Shadow almost 100% of the time, and if that happens, just click Astral Barrage unless you have a guaranteed way to drop the speeds. My opponent was too busy playing defensively, and I was able to just pound damage and take the set. After round 3, I had a conversation with James Evans, who brought the exact same 6 as me to this tournament. We had some minor variations, but pretty much the same team. Spoiler alert, James ended up finishing in the top 32 with this team, and he was an excellent resource while I was prepping. 2-1 is good, but it's not good enough for day 2. So on to round 4. Round 4 had me playing against the exact same 6 from round 2, and this time against my favorite North American player, not joking by the way, Riley Factura. The way that Riley constructs his teams, as well as his play and his general attitude, is just something to behold. There were a few item and move choice differences on this team, but I felt like it was pretty much the same thing and I could use my lines for the previous round. We did come down to a game 3, and unfortunately I did this really cool thing where I clicked Encore on Whimsicott using Tailwind while neutralizing gas was up. So no Encore happened, I lost a ton of momentum, and I just lost from there. After the round, I did interview Riley about his team, and I just love talking to the guy, honestly. We talked about his consistency and also his interesting move and item choices that got him some wins throughout the day. Shout out Riley, you're cool. At this point, I'm X-2. If I lose another round, I can't make day 2, and there's still half of the day left to go. So after this round, I decided there would be no more losses. So let's check my pairings and... no more losses. I guess I have to lock in. Yeah, that's right. Right after I said no more losses, I paired into Shiliang Tang, one of the best players in North America. Yikes! And he's playing a matchup that I'm not particularly a fan of, Kyogre and Ice Rider. I labbed this matchup so much with one of my friends. I think we spent like 2 or 3 full nights just repping this matchup over and over again. One key difference with Shiliang Tang is that instead of having something like Iron Jugulus to boost speed and disrupt my stats, there was a Smeargle to redirect, boost the ally, and also spam Spore. Fortunately, my safety goggles Weezing with Taunt came in really handy here, so I'm glad I stuck with the safety goggles. Shiliang not having Iron Jugulus, as well as being able to shut down both the Amoonguss and the Smeargle that were the best supporters on the team, I felt like it was a very positive matchup for me. I was able to win 2-0 with some good reads and the team diff. After this round, I tracked down Joe Brown, who isn't a player today, but did share some of his experience checking out the town and also commentating some really interesting teams on stream. Joe is always a great face to see at these events. If you ever see him, I recommend you say hi. That's one really scary opponent out of the way, but there are plenty more scary opponents to potentially face, so let's go on to the next round, round 6. My round 6 opponent's team was very similar to my round 1 opponent's team, which means I knew exactly who to bring. Weezing. Weezing shutting down most of my opponent's defensive play meant that once again I could have Weezing and Koraidon or Weezing and Shadow Rider just start steamrolling through, making sure no speed drops hit my side of the field, and just winning from there. I'm extremely glad that I got a lot of reps into the Lunala teams, because Lunala is one of those Pokemon that actually made me want to bring Weezing, so really glad I'm getting some good use out of it. After this round, I found Brady, who has the same record as me all day up until this point.
You know, like, but hopefully we don't play though, you know, because that'd be kind of like,
Oh, no more questions. No more. All right, guys, I guess we're done here.
Brady is also a great resource for prepping, so if you want to hit up Brady, here's some VGC Corner stuff. Go check him out. There are 2 rounds left, and I have to not drop any more rounds, so yeah, let's go. Round 7 had me up against yet another Miraidon and Ice Rider team, except with a lot more defensive options as opposed to the other 2 teams' offensive options. The supportive fairy type on this team was Grimmsnarl instead of Whimsicott, which meant that the slow mode was a lot stronger, and I definitely had to make sure I brought the right Pokemon for it. Game 1 and 2 saw a pretty decent and pretty clean back and forth, but game 3 was like extremely messy. I encored my opponent's Grimmsnarl into Light Screen, and he elected to not switch it out, thinking that I would kill it, but I kept missing Heat Waves onto it, and I burned the other slot, which meant that he got a free switch and switch out when it took burn damage, and it was this whole thing. Basically, at the end of the game, he crit me, but then the recoil from Flare Blitz killed his Incineroar, and it was a whole mess. Honestly, one of the messiest games I've ever seen, but I came out on top, and I'm glad to say that I am now in my winning. I talked to Zoich, who was in the exact same position as me. He was also in his winning going into that last round, so let's see if one or both of us make it in to day 2 after round 8. I like to think that round 8 really was the apex of my day 1. My opponent was playing one of the most consistently threatening teams in this regulation so far, Calyrex and Zamazenta, the final boss. These teams are extremely flexible in what they can bring, so I like to call them sauceless Calyrex Zamazenta teams, and it's really up to the builder to add some sauce. In this case, the sauce was a Choice Scarf Chi-Yu, which meant that the Calyrex Chi-Yu mirror was kind of real in this game, and it was really scary. Game 1 I was able to take really convincingly. Game 2 I let myself fall behind by getting spored and also falling into the pitfall of the mirror. At the end of the game, I knew I was going to lose, and it was Calyrex versus Calyrex. I let the turn play out and saw that my opponent won the speed tie. If we're following the coin flip math of it, the speed tie being 50-50, this means that in game 3, if there is a speed tie, I will win it. I have good karma. This is legitimately what I played into in game 3. In game 3, it comes down to my speed boosted Koraidon and my Calyrex with my sash broken versus my opponent's Calyrex with its focus sash and a Choice Scarf Chi-Yu. No terrestrialization is available. Obviously, I have to click Collision Course onto the Chi-Yu to knock it out, but if my opponent's Calyrex outspeeds me, then I don't get to break the focus sash and I'll lose the Koraidon versus Shadow Rider. However, if I win the speed tie, I will break the focus sash, and as long as Koraidon survives the turn, I will knock it out the following turn with Flare Blitz. The Collision Course knocks out the Chi-Yu, and I just have to watch the text to see if my Calyrex moves first. My superstition pays off, and I see Famine used Astral Barrage. However, it wasn't actually over yet, because I still had to survive the incoming attack from the Calyrex. Remember how at the beginning I mentioned that my Koraidon could get 3-shot by Astral Barrage? My opponent's Astral Barrage does go off because they have the Focus Sash, it KOs my Calyrex, and my Koraidon, which is at roughly 55% HP, lives on this much. My calculations did work out. I'm able to KO the Calyrex the next turn with Flare Blitz, securing my spot in Day 2 of the North American International Championships. At that moment, I took out my earbuds, put down my pen, and honestly started crying a little bit. This is my first Day 2 ever, and it being at the biggest event in North America just meant so much to me. After the round, I had a really fun conversation with Sierra Dawn and Moxie Boosted, who brought Slitherwing and Haunch Crow respectively to just ball and have a good time at the event. At this point in the day, it really did feel like the sky was the limit. Knowing that I could make Day 2 and there were only 4 rounds the following day means that, heck, I can make top cut, I can make top 8, I can make finals, I could win this thing. With my Day 2 secured at a record of X&2 after going on a 4-set win streak against some really scary players, we met back to the hotel and I studied up on that one particular matchup with this 6 Pokemon and also scouted some of the teams that were going to be in Day 2. Before you knew it, it was bedtime, and we get into day 2. All right, it is day 2. We went to bed at like 10 o'clock last night. We were very tired. We got some fried chicken. It was fantastic. But now it's time for day 2. I did some more prep this morning, just looking at some calcs, seeing what the field is like for tomorrow. I'm really nervous. I'm gonna be playing against some like really good players, like actually really good players. But here's the fit for today. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling as prepared as I can be. So I believe it's 4 more rounds, and then we'll see what happens from there. So see you guys at the venue. Good news about this part of the video. I'm actually on the scene. My mic was working a little bit better today. I do also want to note real quick that day 2 was like a really different environment. It goes from 1,000 people to like 200 or something. So instead of having all these people walking around, you have a small corral of 200 people, and then like everyone else crowded around it watching in. And I felt like a part of an exhibit or like a sport. It was something that I haven't really experienced very much, because if you can't tell by how I look, I don't really play sports. So that was pretty much my first observation on day 2. I thought that was really interesting. But more importantly, let's get into the rounds and see how I do and if I move on to the next phase of play at NAIC. Let's go. Alright guys, I just finished round 9. I'm coming back from the bathroom. I'm not gonna lie, my tummy hurts. So a non-zero amount of my day is gonna look like this. Anyway, round 9 paired into a Calyrex, Shadow, and Miraidon team. It was an Assaultless Miraidon with Clefairy, so a very fat Miraidon. And then also there was Calyrex Shadow with Calm Mind and Covert Cloak, which I have run before, and it's really cool. It's a really interesting meta call. It's a pretty positive matchup for me, so I felt very good. And then I was able to call basically every turn correctly in game 1. Okay, I'm whipping out MS Paint because I want to illustrate just how perfectly I played this game. On turn 1, we have this is Weezing. We have Miraidon. Great. We have Incineroar. And we have Calyrex, okay? So on turn 1, my Miraidon gets faked out, and Astral Barrage hits both of these guys, but my Weezing taunts the Incineroar, so Incineroar is now taunted. I know that they're afraid of me getting a boost with Flame Charge, and they want to have the Redirector on the field, so I go for Taunt and Flame Charge into the already taunted Incineroar that resists fire attacks, and on that turn, they switch out Incineroar for Clefairy, and they protect Calyrex. So I ended up taunting the Clefairy on the switch and got a Flame Charge, which boosted my speed, and now this thing like can't do anything. And like, I think I scared the shit out of my opponent, so I'm very pleased with that play. In game 2, I changed it up just a little bit, and I was able to get everything done, and it was really great. So, job's not done. 3 more rounds to go. I'm gonna keep pairing into more and more scary people, so wish me luck. I'll see you guys after the next round. Round 10? Is it round 10 just ended? Yeah, round 10 just ended in day 2. And I am now out. I am X3. So I'm out for contention for top cut, but I will keep playing for prizing. I played against a Miraidon, Ice Rider, nothing too crazy, but there were a few things. There was a Grim Snarl, which normally I deal with Weezing, but my opponent had a Farigiraf with Helping Hand, and that really spooked me because a lot of my calcs are pretty precise, and so Helping Hand really throws a wrench in there. It's not really something I saw a whole lot in practice on Farigiraf specifically. I'm out of contention, but I'm gonna keep playing. I'm having a really good time. I know a lot of people are kind of in the same position as me, so I'm gonna get that prizing, and then we'll see if we'll do any side events later. I don't know. I'm here with a bunch of Houston locals as well. Zoich is over here. I'm not going to point the camera over there because I don't want to make anyone feel weird, but there's Alex Torres and Andrew Zoich. Hooray. I'm going to drink with them tonight if my tummy gets better. 45-degree beer. Yeah, round 11 just ended. I am now 8-3. I'm a very happy 8-3. I'm having such a good time. I played the Koraidon Shadow Rider Mirror again. My opponent had a Life Orb Raging Bolt again. It's very strong. I was able to play around it. Basically, in some of those endgames, I just pretend that it doesn't exist, and I click my moves anyway, and it works out pretty well. Same thing with like Sucker Punch. But yeah, it was a very position-heavy game. We both had Flame Charge, but I had Electro Webs, which did give me a little bit of an edge. I was able to pull that one out. So 8-3. Once again, I'm out of contention for top cut, but pricing, very good pricing. And my opponent says that if I win my next round, my res might be high enough to where he will make Worlds. So this is not only for me, this is for him. So yeah, one round left, and then we'll see what the day holds after that.
Final round.
The final round is over. Round 12 is over. I have finished 9-3. That is not top cut. However, that's going to be top 64, top 1 something. I'm going to get some cards. I'm going to maybe get some money. I am beyond happy with my performance today. I just can't. Tonight, I'm going to go out on the town, see what's up, go to a few bars maybe. So I guess I'll see you guys when I get my prizing, probably. Oh, that's right. The last round I played up against basically Zoich's team, but with Urshifu over Iron Treads. There was a, I can't think of it, a Choice Scarf Annihilate that was a little spooky. We basically traded my Koraidon for his Annihilate, and then Trick Room was up, but I was able to use my Terra Electric Raging Bolt to just mow down Calyrex, mow down Miraidon, and honestly, it was pretty good. Terra Electric Raging Bolt's my goat. So yeah, everything went super. It was super fun today. Only one loss today is pretty good, and I am just happy to be here, happy to have made it this far. Thank you everyone for all the support, and I'll see you guys after I get my prizing. Mwah. We're gonna open this booster box. Hey, I got a full art Rockets Meowth. Look at that. Ho-Oh EX. Nice. Oh, and Zoich got Team Rocket's Murkrow. Oh, that's a good looking card. Whoa. That is a good looking Blaziken. Oh.
45-degree beer.
It's been a great weekend, and thank you everyone for joining me on what has been a magical ride through the city of New Orleans and not bombing an event for once.